replacement because finding him on a dating app means you're there too. What a double standard women have. What hurt your ego is that he's already moved on, that his description, the one you noticed, will bring him a better woman than you. Brothers, just like the Chad, that's a low blow.
Men are losing their mind over a recent video that I made. Leaving a good guy doesn't make you a bad person. Your spouse doesn't have to be abusive in order for your feelings of wanting to leave to be valid. There are dozens of reasons why marriages fall apart, and a lot of them have nothing to do with somebody being a bad person. Here are some examples. Financial problems, growing apart, communication issues, addiction, too much arguing, lack of emotional or physical intimacy, one spouse just isn't carrying their weight in the marriage, maybe married too young or for the wrong reasons, opposing values or lack of shared interests, or maybe you just live like platonic roommates. Those are all very common reasons for divorce, and it doesn't make you or your spouse a bad person.
Anxiety, uncertainty, and instability are always your best allies. A relationship ends in different ways. That's why I tell you, being a good man is no longer enough. You have to understand that many of these modern women, whether through social media, music, or their favorite actresses, or the purple hair movement, are constantly telling them to be bad, to go out with their bad boy, that men are there to please them. Whether you like it or not, all these things have an effect on a woman's mind. Whenever she's in a healthy relationship, she's always feeling like something's missing. As I've said, a woman is faithful. That's why they never leave the Chad, because he puts them on an emotional roller coaster. One day he sweetens things up, the next day he salts it. He keeps them in this constant back and forth. Women are addicted to attention and drama. I always tell them, a good or bad emotion is still an emotion. Another thing, this is advice for me. Never lose your identity in a relationship. Friends, that's what you want to do. You change everything for her. You become what she's chewing on. You know what will happen. She'll get bored of you. Stop being irrational. These women are irrational thinkers. When they say something, they do the opposite.
Your baby, your son. You carried the baby for 9 months. He was my best friend's
Securing objective. Good taking Charlie. Enemy securing Bravo. Securing objective Charlie. Charlie secure. We've secured.
But, you know, that's fine. I was so heartbroken that I didn't want to change my name, and I said, why do you want me to change my name?
No, I don't know.
And I said, oh, that's easy, just change yours. Like, I have a really cool last name. And he goes, it's his father's name. I said, yeah, me too. It's my father's name too.
Enemy securing Bravo.
I don't know, I just don't want to change it.
We control the objective.
That's why she's so single. You'll die with your father's
Enemy taking Alpha.
surname. You know why she doesn't want that man's surname? Because he doesn't bring anything to the table. If he was a man with a lot to his name, believe me, have their children. But since she feels like she's probably better off than the man, so she doesn't want to carry his surname. For example, that's ridiculous. So when it comes to getting mainly to the male child who carries on the family name, who will bear the woman's father's surname, and that's yours. Women want to strip away all the rights from the man, except for having to pay child support and inheriting your assets. Because in the event of your premature death, she'll want to prove that the child is yours to inherit all your DNA, like the surname, is sacred to a man. How do you tell a man that he doesn't want to have a surname when there are people who paid their in the world or infrastructures to carry their surname, when it's a source of pride for a man to be called the Smith family? Unless he's a super simp, would accept something like that. will see the new or be new. We will see where it originated, what it means, and why modern women. Your support means a lot. We invite you to subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up. We would also love to hear your experiences in the comments.
Under fire! Swapping mag! Watch out! Thermite!
And why do some people believe it?
Subtext out!
Pretty effective, and now it's starting to garner attention. All the women who are also 20 years or so over in South Korea, as there has been all over the world, of course. But a new subset of women in China, also known as the relations of any interestingly similar to what we've been seeing over here in the West, but it's no secret that in South Korea, the patriarchy is very strong, right? And they have very strict
Tossing
standards.
subtext!
Things are supposed to be too. A lot of women shared their stories about how they always felt like they had to every time they left the house. In the society, they couldn't afford to keep up with it anymore. Does this sound familiar at all? But of course, naturally, they hit a breaking point, and they formed the Escape the Corset. Oh my God! Was that women just started destroying makeup and clothes altogether. But a lot of women noticed, of course, things weren't getting better, and the issue stemmed way deeper than this physical appearance. Things like South Korea, like 99% really bad. And articles started coming out saying 65% kids and 42% didn't want to get married at all. And 80% of the people said the reason for that was because domestic violence was so bad. And on top of the fact that things were getting so bad over there, the South Korean government wanted to shut down the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family.
Take it rounds!
Gender equality. They also noted, of course, that the gender pay gap was huge over there, and there was wild amounts of discrimination from
Request fire mission!
others, so why would you want to? So essentially, the women got in countries where, laws are being overturned, such as here, are seeing that and going, oh, wait, maybe that's not the worst idea. And I haven't decided if I'm personally at this point entirely or not yet, although I've kind of been doing it for the past 25 years anyways. But I do think it's a very interesting thought to consider.
Brothers, everyday things are getting worse and worse. It's like modern women don't understand how they're being used by groups that only want women to be lonely for greater consumption of fast fashion and beauty products. But you might wonder who gives the most voice to this movement against men. Many of whom dislike them because they are attracted to women. They want to by bringing them to their side. But it's not just they're even stable homes to end their relationships, saying that everything men do is minimal, that they should leave them and join them because they live with a patriarchal oppressor. Did you know 65% don't want children and 40% don't want to get married? They say that by 2030, 45% of women will be single. Friends, start selling cat food.
Funniest thing about the 4B movement is it always comes from women that look more masculine than the men that they're talking about, and you know the exact women I'm talking about that have like the septum piercings, the different color hair, that literally are so far in their masculine role that the men weren't even looking in their direction in the first place. But the other funny part about it is it's another perfect example of how so many women are desperate to constantly compete with men. And it's just another way that these women are trying to want men, but the irony is that men have already checked out of marriage. They don't want kids. They find women insufferable because women have literally made it impossible to make them happy. So men...
The same limo who was asking me was I was from Florida.
But yet here come the women with their 4B movement trying to make an impact of something they're already doing, which is something historically women have done with jobs, with everything around them, trying to be mechanics, trying to do all the manly jobs or make more money and be boss-ass babes. Everything is in competition with men. The same men that they claim not to give a shit about, or that they don't need, or yada yada yada, that men are trash. But if they're so much trash, then why are you constantly competing with them or trying to one-up them or be better than them? And the other funny thing about it is that these women claim that they don't want male attention or male validation, and they're so over men, but they create all of this drama and all of this chaos circulating around men, knowing damn well they're gonna get attention from men, so make that make sense. It's honestly the hypocrisy for me. And these are the same women in comments like myself saying, pick me, pick me, pick me, but y'all have perpetuated drama so much to get male attention, because negative attention is still attention. And if women aren't seeking attention from men outside of creating all of this drama, then why are they still on OnlyFans? Why are there still so many single mothers? Well, guess what? Because there's always going to be women that are going to put themselves out there and put themselves in jeopardizing situations because they want to perpetually live in victimhood. And what's the alternative? That you become a lesbian where the divorce rates are higher and the domestic violence rates are higher in lesbian couples? So make that make sense. And the fucked up part about it is it's just another example of how women will set the standard of what they want, and when the men follow through even further or use women for something or another, they can turn around and flip it and be in their victimhood and be like, oh my god, all men are trash, and it just perpetuates the idea that all men are the same and all men are gross and disgusting, even though the men are following the same standard that the women set in the first place. Okay, bye.
I totally agree. It's like that anti-abortion movement, my body, my choice. You see women in those movements, and you wonder who in their right mind would impregnate them. Modern women are going through the phases of a man's life because they've wanted to be like men. And when I say phases, every man knows he has to improve himself to get a good woman, from working to improving his physique, because a man is expected to bring something to the table. Now that men have moved on from women, women are going through their phase of having to pursue men. Those who can't get one enter a sort of denial because they don't have partners. Just look, it's always women now wanting to compete in everything we do, because this movement is just a variation of MGDOW or Red Pill, but for women, it's just another phase of men's lives. The problem is that men adapt faster than women. We play at their same level. They wanted to travel the world. We didn't renew our passports, bro. The girls are strong and independent. We're Red Pill. Single women are the happiest in the world. Men continue on their path with MGDOW. Now there's the 4B movement, but don't worry, we have the soft guy, the drizzle. It will keep appearing more because in their own game, men always win.
Imagine if men got on this app and said, oh yeah, we're going to participate in the 4Bs.
If us men were to sit here and create a movement where we wanted to no longer center women and we wanted to keep to ourselves and stay far away from them as possible, I think that they would absolutely love that. I think if every woman on the planet had the choice to be a lesbian, they would absolutely take it. I ain't trying to sound like no simp or nothing, but bro, us as men, we suck. We're their number one unaliving by a mile, bro. Like, the vast majority of us are extremely dangerous to them. And they have the right to they just don't want to center us anymore. You know what I mean? If you I mean, what's the problem? I mean, you ain't got no riz, you know? They got the keys, and without the
Drop their sniper! Out!
turn them back.
Personally, as a man, I don't support all movements. I don't have the belief that all women are bad, just like men are bad.
You're a bitch, nigga. Look at your whack ass game, too.
All men need to change, brother. Also wrong. Because we don't understand. The most important is making TikTok talking about something that bothers us. Women change lives. Women usually get their way, from divorces, child custody, pregnancy. So, saying that all girls never have a man in their lives is fallacy. No matter how much they want to argue, men are the ones who keep the global economy countries. And of course, if a woman's life is super important, so is a man's. I agree that some men need to make an effort to learn the game and not let themselves be manipulated. Toward their investment will always
Oh my god, dude.
People living in the West, but not actually people living in Korea. So like I said, I live in Seoul. What I think is happening is the Western media...
Fire! On the side! Taking rounds!
Backing.
Aged out of their marriage market, you know? Why nobody's getting married or having babies. But I also think there are services in Korea. Marriage, matchmaking services for people.
Watch out!
And then they take that and then they will think that you're on your with. So, you know, marrying the richest CEO of Korea. Media likes to highlight that part and make it I can promise you.
Oh my god, dude. I don't fucking hit that name.
Want to date, want to find love, we want to
Oh my.
satirists and extreme radical misogynists seem like the loudest because the majority
narrative that the pink-haired movement in the West
$50 sometimes, but it doesn't matter.
you can't leave behind your instincts.
I only paid for one because I didn't know that they were free if you have free stamps.
Desiring. The same thing they're the ones who end up suffering, as we saw in videos of women. The corporate path regret their decision. Women seeking potential partners, I think and women would be the first ones willing to pay the fee.
If you don't start to comply,
rounds. Flash out.
That's not happening. And where you are.
And the response.
Biggest fear, you will die alone. The option I is to go to therapy, work on
Oh, man, what the fuck?
Subject out. Hey, much appreciated. Crossing subjects. Watch out, thermite.
providers, you're certainly not.
Boom.
You're not even nice.
Only half our kids get What's Mrs. Slotkin doing? She wrote the bill to force schools to let men compete against our girls in their sports. Slotkin even voted to let men use girls' locker rooms. That's nuts. Slotkin is pushing a far-left agenda instead of fixing real problems.
Our schools are failing because Congresswoman
Swallowing in a
Rogers and I approved this message.
Join Mike's team. Give together.
Because if a man ends up alone, it's not the same as Now, a piece of advice for every man. Don't go threatening a woman just because she doesn't want to be with you. It makes you look needy, and it can get you in
Flash and like grenade, that's the only reason they're winning.
getting your finances in order,
Watch out, thermite.
brothers adds points. I assure you, you will bring this now. That men won't accept certain actions, but their faith There are more women than men in this country. A man can easily leave the country. And investigate.
So your grandfather
The idea that children and wives shouldn't take the man's last name. This is patriarchy. Before we begin, we want to thank you for being here. Your support.
I was always like AFK, bro.
We invite you to subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up. We'd also love your engagement helps us grow and reach more people. Thank you for being part of our project. Let's get started.
What are y'all doing?
Is your name. Like, that is part of it.
Pussy. Just trying to. Oh, dog.
So when you talk about your family in a public place or legal document, it will be Mr. The children will also carry 2 last names because every family cannot be
Flash out!
Fewer men want to get married every day. I don't know what man would truly accept it because your father gives you your surname, which will be passed down through generations. Why on earth am I passing on another man's surname in my family when he's already formed his own? Why does he still? Also, how will our children have surnames? Who will carry your surname to you?
Do you feel taking men's last names when they get married?
We do not live in a patriarchy. I think that's
Will not marry a girl if she doesn't take my last.
Would you hyphen?
Hold on. I know. It's the smallest sign of showing your child or children that you're not completely on the same page. You can't agree to just one name. So instead you're trying to unifying as one name. Women get the fancy ring, they get most of the input on the marriage. I feel like the name is not a bad trade-off. Yeah. That's my thought.
What's the benefit for the man at all? She takes everything. Unless she's willing to sign a prenup before marriage to keep her surname, then we wouldn't have a problem at least gaining something. But she doesn't want to lose anything. So what do you gain? Also, why get married if you don't want to be part of this man's family? I understand that if you divorce, you can go back to your maiden name, but if you got married, it's to become one. So why don't you want to be Mrs. Castillo? That's how it would be presented, Mr. and Mrs. Castillo, for example. Every day, men's rights are diminishing. Men these days are afraid to say important things. Do you think someone like Trump, Obama, Ford, Rockefeller, those men who have achieved something in life, their wives wouldn't support them? Do you think they would accept their surname being put on the back burner? Women don't understand that a man's surname is his legacy. Once it's tarnished, what's left?
Did you guys know that in Islam, women are not required to take the names of their husbands? In the West and cultures around the world, women continue to take the last names of their husbands without really knowing where this tradition originates from. So the tradition of taking the husband's last name after marriage comes from a deeply patriarchal society where women would essentially become the husband's property after marriage. So husbands would have complete control over their wives, legally, financially, and women wouldn't even have rights over their own children. Now, in Islam, women were given rights to ownership, inheritance, financial independence, individual sovereignty, all without marriage or ownership of a husband, and they were not considered as property. Today, many women around the world still practice husband last name, but I find it interesting how many women don't know where this tradition originates from. And that includes myself. Up until 3 years ago, before I started studying Islam, I never really thought about it or knew where this tradition came from. And I find it so interesting and comical almost how Western women view Muslim women through like this lens of they're victims and they're oppressed. Meanwhile, Muslim women in Islam
Subjects out. Taking rounds. Flash out.
Study the religion and learn about the rights of Islam to us.
According to what she says, it's better not to take it seriously. But you know what's practiced more in Islam. First, if a woman divorces, for why she's divorcing. Second, there's only only at a certain age does the father also have custody rights. Fourth, and perhaps the most beautiful aspect of all, asset division doesn't exist in some Islamic countries. It depends on jurisdiction. Everything they can to pay alimony. If what marriage in the West offered them was like this, along with the devout wife who rarely because divorce rates are the lowest in the world, then I wouldn't mind if you didn't take my surname. But if you don't offer me, then where do I gain in marrying you? Don't you think so?
Flash out.
Her stitches were turned off. If you happen to see it, please tag her. But she was putting a question about why to take the husband. We're not allowed
Friendly mosquito deployed.
or if you did want to
Enemies taking Bravo. Objective Bravo is compromised. Get it back.
I would have taken it. And the reason I say this is because I have obviously my father's last name, but he has never been in my life.
Enemies in control of all objectives.
Election season is here. Remember, who you vote for is secret, but whether you vote is public, after this election, your voting record will be updated, and your friends and family will vote on or
For the rest of your life. Max.
There will be before and there will be after.
It's a simple choice.
Subjects out.
I don't have a connection to that side of my family.
Do not fail. Take down
Randomly with no help to him. My dad's side. And ultimately, I remember clearly thinking that, I don't know why I don't feel a connection. When I got
Don't touch the goods.
I remember the pastor was telling us
Securing objective Bravo.
to your husband's last name, you can go into the neighboring
Thermite, take cover.
ceremony at the court or whatever it is, and then come back.
Watch out, thermite.
If you really want to take it. And I remember at that point very clearly being like,
Under fire.
like, I remember entertaining my husband was like, it's not that
Securing
serious.
objective
And I was
Alpha.
like, for you, ultimately now it is what it is. But left out, but I just feel like I don't match.
Throwing flash.
Like if we're traveling,
Securing objective Alpha.
but
One down. Taking rounds. Thermite.
Because you're not a family. It's too simple. For that, it's better to just live together without getting married.
Subject
Doesn't allow us to be called Mr. whatever the surname is. Also, when I show up with another name.
Tossing Semtex.
When you take away all the privileges that make marriage beautiful for him, if I don't marry, I'll still sleep with you, we'll still live together, we'll still have children, I'll be more protected in case you come after my assets and my children are concerned. But she doesn't want to use anything or sacrifice anything ever. That's why I say the woman has her lifestyle. In the end, you feel like a man that she was never really yours. She just sold you a dream, a moment in her presence, and that your marriage was a sham. You're legally married in this society. Let's watch the other video.
Tossing Semtex.
This is my ex-husband's last name. Now bear with me because it's not fun to talk about things not working. Carrying on into our lives, this one life that we have to live, we need to be so intentional and think about the words, what they truly mean, what are we taking care of. Just because it's the norm doesn't mean that it's right or that it's something we should do. And I but I didn't. As a young man, I took his last name. I felt like part of my identity. Anyway, great hits gave them his last name and he needed to carry on his legacy. The problem was that if I wanted to change my name back to my maiden name, my name I was now going to not have the same last name. When I talk to
DZ box. Airdrop inbound.
about possibly, the first thing they always do is, well, no, I don't know. How can we should know?
Securing
But we don't even think it's part of a possibility. Like Gen Z.
Tossing Semtex.
Securing objective Alpha.
Taking rounds.
If I change my last name, the kids are going to share a last name with her and him. They look like a family. And yeah, that's one possible scenario. Second possible scenario is that all so now he has two wives. One's an actor. We all are sharing. And then the third scenario is the only possible way to truly
Semtex out.
is
Tossing Semtex. Taking rounds.
last name, then he can take her last name. I know. So what is she thinking?
Under fire.
And on the other side, I don't believe you have to share the same last name in the unit. I currently have my maiden name. I'm married to a man who has his maiden name, and the kids are
This is the problem with women when they become feminists. At first, she said she married for love, took her husband's surname, but when she got divorced, she went back to her maiden name, developed hatred towards her ex-husband. She